They were doing all these weird tricks that I get it. They were tricks of desperation, but you don't do Hail Marys when the game just started. You save them for when time's about to run out. Well, baby, time has run out. Anthony Rico quit Diddy's case a while back because he's like, you're not ready. Plus, there's ethical things I just don't like. Okay, that was final enough. Well, guess what? Diddy requested a 2-month extension. Many people said he requested a 2-month extension. These are legal experts because he needed more time. He really isn't prepared. His only defense is Cassie enjoyed it. What about the other 5 victims? And Cassie's pregnant. Good luck getting a jury to think that. On top of Cassie being pregnant, people are like, he's trying to run off the clock so Cassie isn't pregnant on the witness stand. There was some credibility to that because in Diddy's report, in his last filing, Diddy actually, they had a legal expert that said that the footage was altered to make Diddy look more domineering than he is. I don't care if he was the size of Justin Combs' 3 apples high. You were mauling, literally, Cassie in a hallway. Well, guess what, baby? It has all come to pass. Diddy's trial will not be moving. We have exclusive coverage from what went down in the courtroom. It was a bloodbath. And guess what? The trial date will not be moving. Diddy is not prepared. Baby, Diddy should have hired Alex Spiro to defend him. But honestly, this is the one thing that makes me think that Jay-Z was not mixed up in Diddy's stuff at all. Because Jay-Z has completely distanced himself. He wouldn't let Joe Tacopino, because Jay-Z demands absolute loyalty. He would not let Joe Tacopino represent Diddy. I'm sure that Alex Spiro is like, I got Elon Musk and Jay-Z. What the hell I need Diddy? It's a losing case. Alex Spiro is one of the illest and realest lawyers to ever do it. You don't hire a lawyer to be your moral coach. You hire a lawyer to get you out of jail or have you do the least jail time, right? Did it not work for Jay-Z? Everybody removed his name off of their cases, okay? But getting back into this lets me know that whatever Jay-Z has going on in his life, he had nothing to do with that Diddy stuff. One, he won't let anybody from Roc Nation or any of the legal powerhouses he used come anywhere close to Diddy. On top of that, I 100% believe that if Diddy had anything on Jay-Z, he would sing like a canary just to pull somebody down with him. And the fact that he can't, well, baby, you already know. Anyway, let's get into what happened in court. This is directly from the Inner City Press. They are the live tweeting that, follow them on Twitter, Blue Sky. They have a Substack. They have been live tweeting. And on top of that, they are the information that every major news organization uses. Okay, right? They also have a paperback book, Diddy Do It, for the Southern District of New York cases against Sean Combs. They are actually a really well thought out court reporter that knows. I don't know if they have a legal, okay, you guys don't care, but he seems to have a legal background, so he knows what he's doing. Anyway, they said Sean Combs was brought in by U.S. Marshals. He hugs his lawyer and blows kisses at the gallery. Proceeding had still not begun as of 11/17. Yo, he was blowing kisses to the gallery. That mofo really thought that he was getting his continuance. And quiet as is kept, I think he was enjoying his time as the MDC. Think about it. All those lonely men caged at night. You know, he got those dollar cans of mackerel, trading favors. I don't know. Okay, so they came into the courtroom and they said, all rise. The judge said, counselors, I'm going to go through the items. Then both sides will have an opportunity to react. I'm previewing for you. I want to hear about the motion to exclude 2 experts. The U.S. Attorney Office pipes in. Your Honor, 2 victims were 2003. The charge runs from 2004. They got Diddy back to things that were going in 2004. Diddy was with Kim Porter then. They have been fighting to get some of the evidence excluded. The judge. I'm denying the request for an adjournment. So Diddy's trial is going to start May 5th. But there's more. Diddy's trial is going to start May 5th. The judge went on. And this is actual real live court treating. Counsel, the defense under seal is asking for 2 months, not 2 weeks. The issue about victim 4, it is not sufficient for 2 months adjournment. The new conduct isn't really new. as the U.S. points out. Exactly. So even though the name changed, you already knew what you did to people. It's like saying if somebody's accusing you of rape, how long does it take you to do a defense of I didn't do it? Unless it's a little bit more muddy. Anyway, I do want to say this. I don't think that Diddy really cares about getting all these people's names released from, actually made public. But I do think there's one name in particular he wants made public. It might be someone that has a big dating history in the industry. Diddy is always trying to shame Cassie. It looks like he might be trying to shame this victim too. And he wants the news and all the people, all the bros on podcasts to rip this person apart. All right. The judge also says, this is first you got, so let's count all the losses Diddy got. You're not getting the 2-week adjournment. You're not getting the 2-month adjournment. You have to start trial on the 5th. You are not prepared for it. This is not good. But the judge actually did say this case is a freight train barreling forward at the last hearing. And I did say in the live I did to cover it, go ahead and watch it again at Chef Kiss, that when a judge says this is a freight train barreling forward, baby, it's a freight train barreling forward, okay? They also said, the 2 victims are from 2003. Diddy tried to get that excluded, didn't work. They also say, Diddy now has 4 firms representing him. You spent 4 firms. That means you are spending about $500,000 a week on legal, and they has 4 firms representing him. The motion to delay is denied. Next, the government, so that's the 3rd loss. Next, the government is saying that the evidence is relevant to the RICO charge. As for victim 5, the U.S. notice explains why victim 5's alleged abuse is prohibitive and not outweighed. If you don't know what prohibited is, there's always a thing between the victim having a fair chance to say and what will unduly taint the jury. So you have to look at the accused justice and ability, but also the state's right to bring evidence. So they look at prohibitive. Which one is more important? Constitutional rights are always deemed more important, but if you can bring evidence in without messing with the constitutional rights, that's the sweet spot. They're saying that even though this doesn't really do you, the defendant, Diddy, any favors, it doesn't trample on your constitutional rights. So they're allowing it. What are we up to? 4? Let's just say 5 losses. Don't worry. There's more. One ain't going to do this. One more ain't going to hurt. They go on to say, listen, again, they denied him the extension. I know he's regretting whichever one of his lawyers convinced him to the fast track trial. I believe that was Mark Agnifilios. Listen, 4 firms, baby, you ain't getting an acquittal even though you just did your whole fortune. If I was him, I would literally start firing those firms. Just take my sentence, maybe cop a plea deal, and give all the money to your kids. But at this point, you're going to have to give them to the victim, so whatever, right? On the Nixon and Tucker standards, courts in the district apply Nixon. No fishing expeditions are allowed, okay, under either standard. The motion to squash the subpoena of victim 1 is granted. In part, all prior drafts of the memoir must be disclosed. So he did get a slight win with Cassie. All prior drafts of the memoir must be disclosed. However, Cassie gave over Diddy everything when she got that settlement and signed the NDA. So whatever she's giving him, Diddy already has. The memoir drafts must be produced by April 25th. Otherwise, the motion to squash is granted, as fishing expeditions are prohibited under both Nixon and Tucker standards. The finances do not need to be shown. So Diddy got 1 win, but now he is up to 7. He lost the motion to go through all Cassie's emails, and he is not allowed to go through Cassie's bank records. Again, I did a video where Diddy believes that Cassie was paid off by a very high net worth individual. On top of that, they said, They said that the finances do not need to be shown. They claim outreach to Diddy about the memoir. Okay. Now, here's the one thing that Diddy did kind of get, but it's still useless, because he wanted the fishing expedition. A fishing expedition is when I'm like, yo, let me see your text messages. But really, I'm going through it to see if you lied to me 2 years ago. And I'm asking like, oh, can I use your phone? Because I want to see what you sent my mom. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, they said Warner Brothers' motion to squash is denied. There are outtakes from 2 specific witnesses. It's the chef and it's, I think, an ex-lover, okay? The defense says they are relevant. Like the draft memoir, they are admissible. The reporter's privilege cited by Warner Brothers is overcome, okay? These are significant pieces of evidence. These 2 interviewees are likely to testify on the trial, so the outtakes are admissible. On victim 4, the defense has asked for all communication, but that is a fishing expedition. The request is denied. Victim 4, whatever they turned over to the government was so damning that Diddy was doing his best to get it pushed out. Rifle shot might be okay. The motion can be renewed. Okay, that was a motion to see that as they move forward, if something does become relevant, can they approach the judge to get it admitted? The judge said, okay, fine, but you ain't got none because you ain't going to find anything in there. The request for victims 2, 3, and 4 to proceed under pseudonyms is granted. Diddy at this point is at 9 losses. He is. It's a lot. I know I stopped at 7, but you're at 9 losses because you had 2 wins. You can get Cassie's memoir and you can get the outtakes, but you can't get texts, you can't get emails, you can't get communications, and you can't get bank records. Ha. Anyway, right? So the request to proceed under pseudonyms is granted, citing Rainier NXIVM. The defense acknowledges as to victim 2. The other 2 will also go on with pseudonyms. The defense knows their names and the jury will be told their names too. What does that mean, Diddy? This is the 10th loss you suffered. The biggest loss is that you are going to have to go to trial unprepared on May 5th. And you cannot publicly slander these women the way you used to. The judge said, now we get to the motion to exclude the testimony of Dr. Hughes and Barty. Dr. Hughes has never spoken with the victims. The jury needs to hear from an expert about coercive control. It is not in their, like tool book, right? The jury needs to hear from the expert about coercive control. This is what the U.S. attorney says. It's not in most people's tool book exactly how coercive control works. You can see that from the media. However, Diddy has lost his mind. You now want to exclude experts to explain what coercive control is? Have you lost your mind? But you got your video expert saying like you checked it. It looked like you was on Super Mario Brothers when you were Donkey Kong and Cassie. Diddy, shut up. Anyway, the judge says, what is the relevance of the coping strategies proposed by the expert testimony? The U.S. attorney says, there is some overlap here, but there are additional ways of coping. Self-blame, denial, use of substances such as drugs and alcohol to dull the pain of sexual experiences. This is relevant to the charges against the defendant of sex trafficking and forced labor. The jury has a right to understand the reasoning behind these coping strategies. Judge said, why is that outside the ken of the average juror? Listen, they cite Judge Winter on this. The U.S. attorney is saying, this is relevant to the charges against the defendant for sex trafficking and forced labor. The jury has a right to understand the reasoning behind these coping strategies. The judge pushes back on the U.S. attorney. Why is this outside the ken of the average juror? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the judge right now is ruling whether or not with Diddy it's okay to use the thing, because the judge is like, well, why do you think the average person doesn't understand what sex trafficking is? Okay, hold on. Okay, this is live tweeting. That's why I'm taking the pauses. So the U.S. attorney has come back and said this, right? Dr. Hughes has given his testimony in other cases. I don't expect her to tell jurors to give victims leeway on false memories. Rather, victims recall in bits and pieces. The jurors should have the ability to assess fragmented memory. The judge says, okay, switching gears here, then I'll allow the defense to respond. On Dr. Barty, okay, he is saying not that this is based on established literature. It has to be assessed individually. You say Dr. Hughes cannot speak to victims and bolster them. Is this correct, counselor? Okay, I'm back, right? So the issue with Dr. Barty is the defense wants Dr. Barty to testify. The prosecution is like, for what? Now, Diddy did bring up that, well, you used Dr. Barty, the U.S. Attorney's Office used Dr. Barty in another case. But what the U.S. Attorney says is Dr. Barty has no expertise in this type of coercion. He would just confuse the jury. The defense, Mark Agnifilio, says, yeah, I know what they miss about Dr. Barty. His rebuttal testimony. I'm shocked they're questioning his qualifications. Your Honor, the same unit of the U.S. Attorney's Office has in fact retained Dr. Barty in another case in 2024. Okay, yeah, but the judge is looking over this because like the prosecution keeps saying, just because I came to you to deal with my bad knee does not mean that you're an expert on dealing with my bad back. No. What is the relevance, sir? What is the relevance? Let's keep going. Oh, one of the most interesting things that came out is the fact that it sounds like Cassie is indeed has written a memoir and may publish a memoir in the future. Anyway, you guys, the trial's still going on. I'm going to upload this video so you guys at least knows what's going on, and then come back probably in 30 minutes. I'll have the other video up with my breakdown if you appreciated that. Okay, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye.